Time now for Better Money, and Joel Johnson is a certified financial planner and managing partner at Johnson Brunetti. Today we are talking about how retirement can be affected by divorce. Thank you so much, Joel, for being with us.
It's great to be back, Kara.
You know, people enter into a marriage most times, I would think, just thinking they're going to spend the rest of their life together, and they're planning and they're saving, and then the divorce happens, which is emotional. But also, if you don't do this right, you can have a lot of financial mistakes.
Right, and you said emotional. There's a lot of emotions tied up in that, and many times the finances get overlooked. People either leave money on the table or they end up paying taxes that they don't have to.
Okay, so we're going to start with number one, Social Security. How would that be affected by a divorce?
So if you haven't been married for 10 years, you cannot collect the benefit under your spouse's Social Security. So sometimes the spouse might have earned a lot more money. Let's say Wendy and I were to get divorced, which wouldn't matter because we've been married for over 30 years. But if we hadn't been married for 10 years and I was the higher earner, she would not be able to collect under my benefit. She would forego a much bigger retirement, and that needs to be taken into account when assets are split.
Okay, and then also when you're splitting things like your 401k or your IRA, you have to do that properly, and there's a wrong way to do it too.
There's a wrong way to do it, and also it needs to be taken into account because remember, those assets have not had taxes taken out. So a $100,000 401k is not really worth $100,000. It's only worth maybe $70,000 after you pay taxes. Also, the assets need to be split properly so it doesn't trigger a tax. So again, very, very important. These things are thought through, and it's a very difficult time to think these details through.
Okay, and you might want to check in with your financial advisor or get one because the lawyers sometimes don't know all the details of this.
Correct. We want to, when we get a call from an attorney or from somebody that's going through a divorce, we want to make sure that things are properly split from a tax standpoint and that all these different things are taken into consideration.
Okay, and then what about the family home? There's of course the decision of who gets it, but from a standpoint of retirement, what are you concerned about?
Well, sometimes when the family home goes to one spouse or the other, there's a problem where it's hard to equalize that asset. You might have a family home that's worth $400,000 and there's no liquidity in the estate to equalize that for one spouse to get maybe the equal amount. And so many times it needs to be thought through, and they say, well, when we sell the home, even though we're divorced, there'll be a splitting of the profit. So again, another asset that needs to be considered.
And last thing quickly is updating your beneficiaries. You got to make sure that if you're getting divorced, you no longer want your ex-husband or ex-wife to be your beneficiary. You have to change those.
Right, and not only if you're going through a divorce, but anytime, beneficiaries should be looked at probably every 5 years. It's really, really important. People make mistakes in this area, and there are drastic unintended consequences.
All right. Thank you so much, Joel. For more information, just visit bettermoneytv.com, and I know people can ask questions, and your team will answer them there.
We love the questions from our viewers, and we answer every single one.
All righty. That's Better Money.